Good morning, students. In last class, we have discussed about we have started to discuss about the air around us, and in which we have talked about the composition of the air, and in that we discuss about the different composition like nitrogen present in atmosphere. About 78% oxygen is present about 21%, whereas and other gases are also present in one within 1%, that is uh, around 0.9% is argon and 0.03% is carbon dioxide. These are the some gases which is involved, which is present in our air. Now we have also talk about what is air and how it is made up of, and the presence of the air at the different layer of the Earth's atmosphere. Also, we have discussed about the what do we mean by the atmosphere. These things we have discussed in the previous class, and these pictures also I have shown in the previous class, where you have to remember these points, which is the first layer. These points are very important. You will have the same point in all the mm, in all your geography chapter. Also you will have this discussion, that is the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere and thermosphere. These are the four layers which we discuss in the different session. Now here, at what kilometer it is present, this is the not the science part, but in the case of the geography, you will have this kind of the discussion. But now we are going to talk about the air compositions, how is oxygen replaced in atmosphere. This is the new way I have shown you, so that you can make more your attention should be understand what is the presentation of all about. Now here, the things which is given in here, the how is the oxygen replaced in atmosphere. This is the main things which you have to understand here. Now what happened in case of the oxygen, in case of when we are talking about the replacement of oxygen in atmosphere, there is a one way to replace the oxygen in atmosphere, that is called the photosynthesis. What happened whenever there is a photosynthesis take place by plant, and at that time the oxygens are released by these plants and absorbed by the human being as well as other any organisms, living organisms being, and the carbon dioxide which is released by the animals and human beings, these are the absorbed by the carbon, the plants, and by this these the oxygen is replaced in the atmosphere. This process is basically how this process take place is basically the photosynthesis process, and who are the involved in this. The plants and other living organisms are involved in this process. The here the similar kind of the things are given. Photosynthesis is a biological process, as you know that why it is called a biological process, since all the changes take place due to the due to the component of due to the involvement of component of the the different parts of the plants, and in which all green here all green plants synthesized their food in the presence of sunlight. You can see here water and carbon. Oxygen gas is the most important byproduct of this process. Why it is called byproduct? Because it is usable for the any living organisms, and by this the things are made. Now there is a clouds. Clouds is also the important things which you have to understand, and these things are also I already discussed in case of the previous chapter in which we have discussed about the water cycle. And as water cycle in during the water cycle formation, we have talked about how the clouds are formed here. Whenever the waters are vaporized and goes up to upward direction, the at the up at the uh, height from the sea level, the dust particles is also involved in that water vapor, and that goes up to again upward direction. Since it is a gas, that's why, and due to this gas, this is the very um, light. That's why it goes up to upward direction, and whenever it reaches at the low temperature, these vapors and that mixture of vapors and dust particles are get condensed, and due to that condense they form an ice crystal. And because of that ice crystals, basically they form a, clouds. In this way the clouds are formed. And the same thing it is written here. You can go through all these tiny particle droplets, air, these things are vapor, gets evaporate from sea as already told, rivers, others bodies travel up to into sky in the form of the cloud. These things I have already. Air is everywhere. You can also see air, there is a no place on the earth where there is a no air is a present, because if living organisms are present, and all living organisms only when survive when they are breathe. So in this process the oxygen is a very essential component which is required for any living being. So their air should be present in everywhere. Now earth is surrounded by thin layer, as already told. This thin layer is called basically a air. We cannot see, but we can now feel these things. I have already discussed this point. Now leaves of the trees also still and branches sway in the wind. As you can also, this point is important, how we can feel that air is moving, that air is a present, a presence of air. This, then this point is already explained there. Whenever there is a tree rustle and branches sway in the winds, the cloth hanging, the cloth, the kind of the cloth which is hanging on the cloths line, that is the cloths lines means the place where the cloths are spread, that is cloth line, and they are swing because of the presence of air. These are the some examples are given by which we can understand presence of the air. So, and at last there is a atmosphere also given. These points is already told that thin layer of air by which the whole the earth is covered by a thin layer, that is called the atmosphere. Now, the color of air. Is there any color of the air? Here there is no color of air, as we know that it is a mixture of air. There is no presence of color, and one can see through it. It is a transparent moving. It is a transparent. Since and the nature of this air is basically a transparent. Now, what happened? And moving air. Air always moves. Moving air can be termed as a wind. Whenever there is a air and moving air, that means that is called as a wind. What is wind? Wind is basically a moving air. When we can feel the wind as its that is called savis, or leaves means moving of leaves. That is also in another term we can understand this point. Say waves leaves on a tree, or during the storm the winds blow at very high speed. Whenever the speed of air is very high, we can understand that that wind converted into the storm. Whenever there is a high speed of wind, that is called the storm, and even uprooting trees in their way. So you can observe from this figure also, there is a no color of air, and I think so that at this point we will have the discuss in the next class. Now what you have to do, you have to complete the notes of these two classes, and only the notes is required. So it is all about today's class. We will have a next discussion in the next class. Till the time, enjoy with your parents and save your life at your home. Now thank you for today.